Yeah, hi there. These comments, I'm going to just use your initials for privacy purposes, and these comments are for YLD. And you completed, it looks like, a speaking practice test along with a pronunciation post-test. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to the speaking practice test first, and then we'll give you a score here, and I'll enter it into InGrade, and we can go from there.
A very meaningful event for me.
Okay, so the question here is explain an event in your life. Let me go back to the question here for just a minute. So choose an event that has meaning for you. Explain how it has changed you.
Was the first time. A very meaningful event for me was the first time I got #1 because it changed my life and helped me figure out how to get high scores. First of all, the first time getting #1 changed my life. This event happened when I was grade 5 in elementary school.
Yes, you probably need to get to this pretty quickly because you don't have very much time.
In grade 5, I was a bad student who usually achieved bad grades.
I want to say who usually achieved.
After the first time getting #1, I knew I could be a good student too. In addition to changing my life, it also helped me figure out the secret of getting high grades.
Yes.
The reasons of getting #1 for me were finishing homework on time and listening to classes carefully.
All right.
I kept doing these two things, therefore I can usually...
I would say I kept doing these two things, or I have kept doing these things. So if you want to make it relevant to now, but it started in the past, then use the present perfect tense. All right, let's keep going.
Get high scores.
Okay, on this one, let's take a look at the rubrics here. So, yeah, this one, I think you had some minor problems with delivery. Language use was, again, a few minor problems. You had a pretty good topic development with appropriate, relevant supporting details. So for the TOEFL, the speaking section, I'm going to put you at about 2.66 out of 4, or 20 points out of 30 on this particular practice test. Now, for the purposes of our class, 2.6, this is going to get you, let me look at the rubrics here. Okay, here it is. This puts you at 90% on this particular practice test. Alright, let me go into InGrade right now and make sure I enter this before I forget. So give me a second. So, listening, speaking. Okay, here we go. I'm assuming this is maybe speaking practice test number 2. So I'm going to put this in. Alright, I got that. You took the speaking final exam already according to what I can see. And now we're going to take a look at your pronunciation post-test. So let's go to Part A first. And you're reading 3 specific paragraphs. And I'll see how you're doing here. Okay, here we go.
When two people are talking to each other, they tend to stand a specific distance apart. Each person has an invisible boundary around his...
Let's say invisible boundary.
...or her body, into which other people may not come. If someone pierces this boundary, she or he will feel uncomfortable and move away to increase the distance between them.
Okay.
The major exception is family members and other loved ones.
Okay.
This personal distance is not due to body odor or bad breath, but because closeness lends a sense of intimacy that is at odds with the relationship to the other individual.
Okay, I had some trouble here. The word close, you're not pronouncing that S in the middle. Closeness, and then you have individual, intimacy. So let's read this paragraph again one more time. All right, you ready? When two people are talking to each other, they tend to stand a specific distance apart. Each person has an invisible boundary around his or her body into which other people may not come. If someone pierces this boundary, she or he will feel uncomfortable and move away to increase the distance between them. The major exception is family members and other loved ones. This personal distance is not due to body odor or bad breath, but because closeness lends a sense of intimacy that is at odds with the relationship to the other individual. All right, let's go to the next paragraph.
Interestingly, the average personal distance varies from culture to culture.
Okay.
Americans tend to require more personal
Say require. I require.
space than in other cultures. Therefore, if you try to get too close to an American due to your conversation,
During your conversation,
he or she will feel that you are in his face or will try to back away. Try to be aware of this, so if the person to whom you are speaking back away a little,
let's say backs away a little. Don't forget the S on the end. Backs away.
don't try to close the gap.
Okay, so let's go to your third paragraph. And actually, let's read this one again one more time, too. You ready? Interestingly, the average personal distance varies from culture to culture. Americans tend to require more personal space than in other cultures. Therefore, if you try to get too close to an American during your conversation, he or she will feel that you're in his face and will try to back away. Try to be aware of this, so if the person to whom you are speaking backs away a little, don't try to close the gap.
Also, try to avoid physical contact while you are speaking, since this may also lead to discomfort. Touching is a bit too intimate for casual acquaintances.
Okay?
So, don't put your arm around his or her shoulder. Don't touch his or her face, or hold his or her hand. Shaking hands when you initially meet or part is acceptable, but this is only momentary.
Okay, so you need some improvements here. I'll tell you in just a minute. But read it with me one time first. Remember here, you're pausing too much. You have to group about 4 to 5 stress words together. That's a thought group. Then you have a pause. Then you have another 4 or 5 stress words followed by another pause. Okay, here we go. Also, try to avoid physical contact while you're speaking, since this may also lead to discomfort. Touching is a bit too intimate for casual acquaintances. So don't put your arm around his or her shoulder. Don't touch his or her face or hold his or her hand. Shaking hands when you initially meet or part is acceptable, but this is only momentary. Alright, now you are answering 3 specific questions.
Part B, question 1. My best friend is June because he is a good listener, a good problem solver, and my study mate. First, June is a very good listener.
Good organization, by the way.
I have when I'm in some trouble, or when I had a hard time, I always want to talk with him. Sometimes we talk face to face. Sometimes we talk by phone.
Okay.
He always can listen to me carefully and quietly.
Okay.
Sometimes during stating, he may ask one or two questions.
Let me see
so
what you said.
I know
some grammar questions here.
I talk by phone. He always can listen to me carefully and quietly. Sometimes during stating.
Not during I stating. You can say sometimes when I state or when I talk. So there's some grammar difficulties going on there at about 3 minutes and 20 or 3 minutes and 18 seconds to 3:21.
He may ask one or two questions, so I know he listen to me carefully and take care of my details.
Takes care. I would say takes care of my details.
In addition to a good listener, he is also a problem solver.
Good.
For example,
good transition. I like how you're connecting the two ideas together now by saying in addition to. That refers back to your previous idea, and then you mention the new idea, so that helps you organize your ideas.
When I did the CET4 in our college, CET4 is a kind of English exam for our bachelor's degree. That exam is difficult, and I didn't pass it. For two times, so I was very worried about it. Then
I would probably say I hadn't passed it for two, or I had failed it 2 times before something else. So probably the past perfect tense works better there because you are talking about one past action which is happening before another past action.
Talked with me and analysis my weakness and the time control. So he gave me some
he gives me, don't forget that third person S there, he gives me S.
Opinions. He told me, my English is not bad, but I have some weakness and strongness. I should finish the strongness first.
Okay.
And then use the other times to finish the.
And then he told me that I could use these other times too. So if you're explaining ideas, things that he's telling you to do, you want to do it from his perspective, so we can understand that he's giving you advice.
My weakness as soon as possible. So when I do the same thing he taught me.
When I did this exam, he taught me.
I passed the.
Okay, so you're getting there. All right, let's take a look. So, Part A, Part B is the second part. I've already listened to this a minute ago, so I'm not going to worry about going to that part. But actually, I think overall I can give you some pretty good feedback right now. So the question is, what is your pronunciation score on a scale of 0 to 7, 0 being a beginner speaker of English, and 7 being a native speaker of English? So let me take a look at the Intelligibility Rubrics, and I'll put these in the email also so you can take a look at them yourself. Yeah, I think that English is still, it's a bit of a struggle for you right now. It's not as natural as it could be, right? So you had definitely some problems, I think, pronouncing certain words, using the right grammar, the right vocabulary to explain your ideas. Okay, so I'm going to put you in the middle, intermediate level. I'm going to put you at about 3.8 out of 7. And you can click on the link to learn more about your intelligibility. But in a nutshell, you do have some problems with pronunciation, which is distracting. But usually I can understand what you're saying, right? Usually. In terms of reviewing the pronunciation area in my course, I would go through all the lessons several times. Go through all the lessons focusing on vowels, then consonants, then go over the lessons focusing on syllable division, grammatical word endings, then you can study sentence rhythm, then you can study word stress, then intonation, and finally, what you really need a lot of practice with is thought groups and blending. So you got some improvements that you need to make. All right, let's take a look at our class now. So the next question is, I gave you a score of 3.8. What does that mean for your grade? So 3.8 puts you at about 92% on this particular assignment. So I'm going to go into InGrade right now so I can enter this. Got it? So here I go. So I just entered grades for the speaking practice test and also for the pronunciation final exam. And you're still working on, I think, the listening final exam. So check InGrade for more information on that. Anyway, good luck to you. I know that you reached your goal with the GMAT exam. I think you said you scored 560. So you did a great job there. You've always been a great student in my TOEFL preparation classes, so I certainly wish you the best of luck in the future. I really feel that you will be a great leader in whatever company you choose to work for. If you choose to start your own business or whatever, I think that you will be very successful in whatever it is that you want to pursue because you're very diligent and you follow through with your assignments. All right, thank you.